Guys, welcome to the Bachelorette after show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. My name is Danny. That's Chelsea. That's Brooks. There's 3 of us left, but on the show there's only 2 guys left. And oh, was it a heartbreak to see that one guy go. We're going to break it all down. Thanks for joining us. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Just gonna sit back and enjoy this song for a second. No, let it roll, Ray. This is great.
This is my jam.
Can we see the words up there?
If that were really me, this is my jam. I was being sarcastic.
I love that song.
Guys, welcome to the Bachelorette after show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Now, if you guys missed this moment, there was a moment tonight when Luke said, there was lots of moments.
Yeah, that moment.
There was a moment Luke literally said, too little, too late. First thing that popped in my head was JoJo. Not Jo Fletcher. This JoJo.
Casey and JoJo's the first thing that popped into my head.
Which song?
Then 8th grade
Ooh,
dance.
I didn't even think of that one.
Then Valentine's Day.
What was that popular Casey and JoJo? Is all my life. I pray for someone like I never.
Something like that.
I thank God that I finally found you. Cause we're gonna make up for our failed
Little
attempt.
Mermaid?
Yeah, the Little Mermaid last week. Jesus.
Hey, sorry, Mom, if you had to hear that. My mom's watching tonight, by the way.
My mom's watching too.
And my mom's watching too. All 3 of our moms, so we thought we would say hi to our moms at the same time. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom.
Brooks, I believe you had something special you wanted to announce to your mom tonight.
I did?
That's what you said. I don't want to spoil it, man. I'm going to take your thunder.
No, please
You told me on the way here in the car, you said,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my mom something tonight on the show. So, Brooks, the floor is yours. We're going to sit back. Chelsea, step away from the microphone.
All right, I'm out.
Listen, Mom. This was not planned at all, but I love you. You're the best.
That's not what he said in the car, but I won't put you on the hot seat tonight.
I don't remember what I said.
You don't remember?
No.
Guys, how many of you guys think we should make Brooks tell me?
Why don't you just tell me what the answer is?
It's not my business, man.
Oh, okay.
It's not my business.
Anyway, my mom's great. She's watching
Brooks,
for the first
Janice.
time. I haven't been sending her the links, and she doesn't have Twitter. She's like, wait, you do the show? What? And I'm like, 2 years almost, Mom. Get with the program.
Has it been 2 years?
I guess. Getting close. Yeah, 1.5 years.
And then we got Chelsea here for almost a year now.
Hello.
And then Christina, who we're missing, who's in
I know.
Mykonos right now. I
Every
believe.
snap or Instagram that she posts, I just get more and more jealous.
Yeah, it's great. If you guys aren't following her, Miss Zeus is gone. She'll be back in a few weeks. Once Paradise starts, she'll be back. Speaking of Paradise, before we get into tonight's episode, I just want to make sure we get all these things out of the way. Brooks had a little chat conversation with, we're not going to drop any names.
Snap, am I going to remember this?
Jeez, yeah. In your old age, I know you're trying to not
What was I
show off the
doing
gray
all day?
hairs, but my gosh. Brooks had some conversations via SMS today with some people who have agreed to come on for Bachelor in Paradise on our show. Is this not true? Do you remember
No, this part I do remember,
God,
and
I
it
was
is
worried.
confirmed, and I am stoked about it.
I just had to think for a second what SMS was.
And I will say, we also, Brooks and I put our heads together and sent out some texts to some people today to bring them on for guests. And there's some new contacts we've made in the last couple days for people that have also said they'd like
What
to
we're
come on.
trying to say is we're trying
Yeah,
real
that's what we're
hard.
trying to say. So I know that you guys
We are
know.
trying.
You know, in the past season we brought on a lot of guests. This season we haven't had as many. Part of it is because none of us really knew anybody that was on the show before the show. In past seasons, we've all had
Had some
connections with
connections.
someone that's been on the season. This is the first season I don't think we have. Now we've made friends and we've DM'd through social medias and got phone numbers. So when people are in LA, like James Fuertes last week, we're gonna have people on. So as that kind of continues to roll, just so you guys know, I know I got a lot of tweets asking, "What's up with guests?" So that's gonna happen. And Ashley Iaconte, who's one of my favorite guests ever, agreed to come back on for
Love
sure
it.
when she's
She
here.
was
So
great, yeah.
yeah. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, yes, we're gonna try to get Chad. People are blowing up about Chad. Yes, Rachel Snyder, we're gonna get Chad. It's gonna happen. I'm speaking into existence.
Someone texted us today and was like, you guys didn't try hard enough.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, if you would have known how hard we tried.
Did you see his tweet today?
You would retract that statement.
No, I tweeted him today. Did you see his tweet? He said, "What do I have to do to get on these talk shows? All these people, do they have publicists getting on all these shows?" It's literally what he
That's
tweeted
annoying that
today.
he tweeted that.
He goes.
Maybe he doesn't remember. He suffers from the same.
He literally wrote, and I want to read this because I tweeted him right back. He goes, Anybody know how all other The Bachelorette contestants are doing a million appearances? Do I hire a effing team of agents like them? LOL, hashtag what the F. And I wrote back, we tried, hashtag keep Chad in LA. That's all I wrote. No response. Chad Johnson.
Yeah, so
real
take
Chad
that tweet,
Johnson.
get after them, get after him on that tweet, you guys. Get on there and be like, hashtag keep Chad in LA.
We tried.
Hashtag get a clue.
I want to talk about the episode because I feel like there's a lot of things that we need to discuss.
Yeah, and I'm trying to avoid this because my heart's I'm a little upset. And okay, so let's do this, but I have to be honest. This is the first time in my life I think I've been a little upset with JoJo.
I'm super pissed at JoJo.
Why are you super pissed?
Because to me, like...
Why are you super
Why are you
pissed?
super
I love
pissed? I just, like, this whole episode, I don't agree with one decision.
Really?
Not one decision.
From the beginning to the end?
Yes, from the beginning to the end.
I agree with the blue dress she wore.
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah, Brooks,
Very much
No,
agree.
you agree with her boobs
We very
showing.
much agree with the blue dress.
Which is fine. She looks great. She always looks great.
Yeah.
I actually did an interview with her stylist, which was really cool. It's on my
we
blog.
pumped it up last week on your log.
Yeah, so
Did you post a picture
Videos.
about it on Instagram today?
today was the interview with her makeup artist.
Oh, well,
God, Brooks,
if
keep
I were
up,
following
keep
you
up.
on Instagram, I would
Oh,
go
stop.
and like that picture.
Brooks, on the scale of happy to super pissed where Chelsea is, where do you fall on the JoJo meter?
Okay, what was the scale again?
Scale
Happy.
is from happy.
Happy?
Happy's
Over here.
the
To Chelsea's
base
pissed.
to super pissed where
Oh, you're at the
Chelsea is.
pinnacle.
I'm at the top. I'm there.
You're at the top of the
Yeah.
mountain.
You're like the cartoon that's got the steam coming out of you. Okay. Okay. So, God, you know, I would agree. There was just some moments tonight, but I also had to remind myself it's a super weird and hard process
Yeah.
to be in the position where she is. I even commented about it during the show,
Yeah.
kind of like, this is so weird. Like, you don't just
Yeah.
have an overnight date and then, like, the next day wake up chipper and go on a date with someone else. That's got to be emotionally difficult. So, and I know she means well with trying not to do to others as has been done to her.
Sure.
But it inadvertently is doing it even better.
Yeah,
It was done to her.
And everybody in the
just like-
chat room agrees. I mean, right away, Melanie Gomez said same. Jasmine John said finally, Danny. Nancy Coffin wants to know why you're super pissed, but I feel like you kind of. Yeah, people are saying this. I mean, everybody's pissed. Like, I think people are finally like, JoJo, what the heck?
I should just see. So what are you pissed specifically about?
I'm not pissed. I'm just upset. I think it could have been handled differently. I'm mad that Luke went because I think it was obvious to everyone in America that Luke was a better option than Chase.
Than anyone.
A lot of people
Than
didn't.
probably Robbie, in my opinion. That's
Yeah.
I know that's gonna drop some people off.
Right.
Jordan, that's the toss-up for me. For me, there was the no-brainer. Those are the final two. Most chemistry. I will say this. One caveat. I saw more chemistry with Robbie tonight than I'd seen her have with him ever. Enough
I'll
that I
agree
was
with
like,
you. I'll take stance.
I agree.
okay, maybe I kind of see it. Still, personally, I don't get it, but I saw more tonight. Enough to validate that she still has him around. But so Luke, that bothered me. She let him go. And, oh my God, watching him
face.
go.
Oh.
That
Let's
shock.
dive into that.
So right off the
mean-
top,
If we could.
What I don't get, and this is one thing The Bachelor has always done really well, is teased what's going to happen, and then it's different than what you think. They set you up, and it's a swing and a miss on whatever you thought, because whatever happens is not what you thought. They're great about that. So last week, she teases, like, I'm going to have to let Luke go. She says that in her
Right.
monologue. We hear it. Then we see him pull her off, and then it's to be continued, right? So I'm thinking there's no way she lets Luke go.
Right.
That's the first thing she does.
I know. I'm really devastated about this.
I've got to say, it was the first time that I've actually watched the show that I felt like I had a roller coaster moment where I was like,
Whoa.
my stomach is legitimately, like, it's dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, it was a tough moment because I thought, I know she's worried about whether or not she's going to make the right decision. And I was like, how did she not have that moment with Luke? Am I making the wrong decision here? I don't know. Obviously, that's not our choice.
Totally. I mean,
But-
at the end of the day, like, this is her life and her relationship and her love and whatever it may be. But it's like when they were standing there and they're holding each other and he goes, I miss you already.
Yeah.
Like, that's so heavy. She's in his arms and he goes, I miss you already. Like, his facial expressions, he was just in pure shock.
That moment when
Like
he was
that-
about to get in
yeah.
the limo and he looks back at her and just looks at her.
And just looks
eyebrows
at
up,
her.
and he's just
I
That
felt
was
like it was
such a heavy moment.
It was so heavy, and it was just so genuine.
Yeah.
I think, or however it's clipped or whatever, there's not so many like crazy genuine moments, and for me, like his whole demeanor, you just like felt it.
Yeah.
So what do you think it was? What do you think it was that she wasn't into?
I don't know, and I've been trying
idea.
to think about this. I can't, and I want chat roll. Like, I want you guys to chime in. What do you think it was? Because I can't pinpoint a single thing. And if I had to, here's the only thing I do. First, I compare him with the other guys. Like, what does he have or doesn't have that the other guys have that she's keeping?
Yeah.
And for me, I think what Luke has outweighs at least 2 of the guys.
Easily.
And so it doesn't make sense from an objective. And again, I know we're not in it. We're
Right.
not JoJo.
Right,
we're
right.
not. Like, we have no idea what her heart is feeling. But at least from an objective perspective, it made 0 sense logically why you would let that guy go.
Which it kind of gets me into an interesting question about how we process this decision of falling in love, because it's a choice that we make, right? And interesting in everything else in our life, just as you said, is objective, right? Everything else is logical. And then all of a sudden, one of the biggest decisions in our entire life, we totally make on an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
An emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Iowa girl chimed in on the chat room and she said it was lifestyle. One word, that's all she wrote. Lifestyle.
So she didn't like necessarily the
small
lifestyle that Luke had.
Yeah. Eden says chemistry isn't what marriage is about. She tried to blame him, which she doesn't like. Taylor thinks that Luke's going to be the Bachelorette, but Jordan lives a life that she's attracted to, and so yeah, people are saying lifestyle. She doesn't want to stay in Texas.
So are we gonna
But
have a
that's
repeat of
interesting to
Sean
me,
Lowe?
yeah.
Not Sean. Chris Soules. I mean, that's a very similar marketed
Because it's a
individual.
small town.
Small town.
I gotta give a shout out to Marcus Summers on the chat roll who said, I'm new to this right now and I didn't catch the show. Did she choose the winner? Has no clue what's going on, but is hanging out in the chat roll. Thanks,
Love
Marcus. Ellen says Luke had no personality. Okay, so Chelsea, I want to ask this from a female perspective. Because I get where that comes from. He has, I would say he comes off in the edit that we got that he has less of a personality than a Jordan, than maybe a Robbie, okay?
Okay.
But I would argue that Chase is more boring to me than Luke.
I don't think it's really like personality boring or this or that. I mean, if Jordan and Luke walk into a room, I think
Sounds like the beginning of a joke.
yeah.
Except I don't have anything that funny to say. I think Luke could stand there and be known by his presence, and Jordan would have to stand there and like, almost like do a dance, like do something funny, make a joke, like for his presence to be known. So I think it's just 2 different animals.
Interesting.
How they handle themselves. And I think that comes from their background. Like, Luke has been in the service or whatever it may be. So I think that's structured him so differently. He doesn't need to bust open a door and be like, I'm here. Something like Jordan would
Jazz
do.
hands.
You just feel
Jazz
like
hands.
Jordan does that. Hey, you guys.
She totally just gave Luke jazz hands. I love it.
No, Jordan. Luke would never do jazz hands.
yeah.
But
Somebody just chimed in, I don't remember who it was, but I can't scroll, but that Luke did say he's willing to move. And so if he's willing to move, and maybe it was a little bit of a lifestyle thing for him, then still, like, I'm searching.
Yeah, and so, I
What
mean,
is it?
and I feel like, especially after
Family?
Seeing him,
His
how
family,
he
I
reacted.
think, was one of the best
The
hometowns.
best.
Maybe she was like, I don't know. I'm just not super interested in his family. I'm just exploring options.
yeah.
with
God,
people.
I don't know. Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Wow.
Lord.
And then, Brooks,
Lord.
you pointed this out, and this didn't really make sense. Luke leaves, and then straight away they're in Thailand. We didn't really get anything else. It was just, why'd you find that odd?
Because usually we go the conversation. She goes back and like, hey, this is what's happened. All of a sudden we were just in Thailand.
It was just moved us on.
Yeah, and
I didn't feel like it was time for my emotions
Okay,
to
wait.
They didn't
restart.
address it.
Can we
address
just
it.
do like a timeline check real quick?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have the rose ceremony.
Timeline check.
Here we go.
Timeline check.
So they do the rose ceremony.
Yep.
And then like the next day, are they on an airplane?
Sorry, I like cereal. Thank you for this. That was your comment about Luke saying he'd be willing to move.
Yeah.
They just said that. I forgot.
You didn't credit him.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so
Timeline.
after the rose ceremony,
Yes.
the next day they're on a flight to wherever the destination is.
Yep.
Okay, and then how long in between each fantasy suite date is there?
Yeah, I wonder that too.
There-
Yeah, like
There's-
before we dive into there, what's the timeline?
She walks out of it and says goodbye to the guy out of the room.
And then is she going on another date?
I think that varies depending on what exactly is going on and how much time they
mean,
might
so
have.
what's minimum?
Travel,
That
Thailand.
night?
She probably didn't have any time. traveling all the way to Thailand. I bet you they were like, we're on a tight timeline. We have to get things finished. So it was like,
so it might have been like back to back.
Back to back.
Okay,
Holy
this is going
emotions.
to maybe be inappropriate, but I'm asking an honest question.
Yeah.
What happens if... I'm not going to ask it.
What happens
if she sleeps with each of them back to back to back?
Yeah, that's where my brain's starting to go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Well,
isn't that a little weird? And like, what happens if she's on her time of the month? Like all these things of like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an emotional, like, that's why
world?
she's so emotional too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can I feel like there's a little bit of a tell, like how their body language is in the morning and how much they touch and the way Jordan and her like wrapped each other. And he even said, we were able to have a good night with the cameras off, and I believe he said, and take it. He gave kind of like almost a sleazy
Jordan.
wink.
He's like, yeah.
And take it to a really comfortable spot or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, even when she goes, "How was last night for you?" and he's like, "It's everything I needed."
And she goes,
"I love that."
Nice.
She responds, "It was nice." I was like, "Okay."
To
I know how that went.
any men listening, if a woman, when you say "I love you," she says "Thank you," or if the next morning she says "It was nice," you are shit out of luck.
To her credit, she did say it with like a very retrospective, introspective, it was nice. Like as she was thinking about it.
Yeah, but
without context, but still, like, I feel like there was a lot of thoughts in her head. Like that's all she could get out because she was in her head thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe? Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, Brooks. Ask me a question.
I'm gonna go over to Chelsea first, and then I'm gonna go to you.
He's gonna ask me a question, Danny. So
I'll be over here reading the chat roll.
So,
write me, guys.
If it were you you had the fantasy dates,
Okay.
you really were considering marrying one of these three people.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Would you go through with the fantasy date in the sense of like, would you sleep with them, or would you decide, you know what, that involves another level of emotional. Really
getting
upset
so
about this.
flustered.
Yeah. That's another emotional level. Would I just forego that experience and just have maybe conversation with cameras off? What would you do?
If
Is that
there
too
was
personal?
no, if there was one guy who I was like, that's my man.
Yeah.
I would not even give probably the card to the other two, and or if I did, just maybe let's say like for the show's sake or just I don't know, to have a conversation, then that's as far as it would go.
So the producers come to you and they're like, you have to have at least two people go into the fantasy, and even though
then the second person I wouldn't sleep with if I confidently knew.
Yeah, because it would emotionally if you went to two or if you
because
slept
then
with three,
it just
how are you
adds
gonna
a
make
whole
sense?
other level, and that's why your emotions are like, you know, like.
Would you want to, Chelsea? Would you want to pick the order that you spend the evenings with the guys?
Yes.
And would you pick the guy you most are interested in, or your number one choice? Would you want to go first?
Good question.
That's a good question because it's almost like you're excited to see them, but then you want to save the best for last.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens if you see number two on the first night and you guys do go kind of far and you do end up sleeping together?
Right.
Then you feel bad, almost guilty into night with the guy
one.
you are really...
Right.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know. I'd probably shed some tears thinking about it and then tell him what I want to do. I don't know what I would do.
It's a really intense moment.
That's an intense moment, yeah.
And Brooks, what would you do?
Hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
as I was given all three dates, I would choose the person that I'm most interested in last. And I would, for the first two, if I wasn't that interested, I would forego any intimacy at like having sex, because I know that would cloud any judgment, and it's not worth it. If that's really what I want at the end, like there's no value in that.
You think as a man being able to like just having self-control in that moment would be... for me, I'm exact opposite. If I have a number one first night, I don't even know if I would take the other two. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have them for the show.
You still have to have the dates.
They're gonna have that conversation with you, right? Like,
No, I'll shut the door and then put the cameras out.
Show's
I don't think
over.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah. I don't think I could do it.
I think you'd turn into Juan Pablo. They'd Juan Pablo you, man.
Yeah.
Really though, like for trying to do something and follow, like really, you think?
Yes.
They'd be like,
This
you know
is
how
TV
the show
gold.
works.
They're not gonna. Yeah, they're not gonna be like, oh, just because you actually found the one that you love, like the other two are now gonna disappear. No.
I just don't know if I could, in my heart, like in my conscience, be able to do that. I don't know if I could actually, like, let's say I'm in JoJo's position, we're in Thailand or we're somewhere crazy like Timbuktu, and we have to go back to back to back. I don't know why it came out of my mouth. We had to go back to back to back nights. I just don't know if I don't know if I can handle that.
Okay, let me ask you this though: have you been on like multiple dates in a week?
I have.
Okay.
Not slept with them.
Okay, but it's the same thing, so you don't have to give them a fantasy suite card. You could sit at dinner with them.
Don't you think that America would erupt though if you didn't? Like,
no, I mean, I don't. But in that situation, I don't think it's about America. This is your relationship.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I could. Man,
Well, and I think this has been a healthy exercise for us because
trying to put ourselves in JoJo's
trying
shoes.
to put ourselves, exactly what she's going through, because pissed and super pissed. Maybe we came down a little bit. Are you a little bit down?
I'm a little down.
Okay.
I'm a little down. Yeah.
A little down from super
Thanks,
pissed.
guys, for that therapy session.
Wow, okay.
Next.
Cool. We're in Thailand.
Oh, we're in
All of a sudden,
Thailand.
just like the show.
Just
Here we
for
are.
there.
Now let's move on to Thailand. We got Robbie first. Chelsea noticed something right away. Robbie's wearing a freaking wife beater.
You guys.
And she was a little, like, she was confused, by the way. We had to Google to make sure they're still called.
She's like, it's not really called that.
I really
She didn't believe
Yeah,
us.
I really didn't believe that it was called wife beater.
Oh, no, it's wife dash. You can buy it, you can Google, and I say, I want to buy a 5-pack of wife beaters, and you
I
can
want
beat
to
your
buy
friend's
an
step.
article of clothing.
I'm
to
just
then-
so confused
What?
by his shirts. All of throughout
Why?
the show, because last week he had the button down, but it wasn't even buttoned in his white undershirt.
You,
and
you
shit.
have a problem with his buttoning strategy.
His
all
button
of it.
theory doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
it doesn't
with you.
match
It
up.
is
You don't-
not.
you
We're
don't vibe
not.
with the button
I'm
theology.
not vibing with the
He's
button
going
theory.
keep 3 unbuttoned. Tomorrow
And
I'm going
I'm
to keep
like,
5.
Yeah.
Or 4. Yeah.
They coincide with my love.
You guys,
As
it's
the
just
levels-
bad.
That would be amazing if the levels went
Oh my
up
God.
further down the show at the end.
No,
He's got a
please,
hipster tied all
please,
the time.
someone make a graph of Robbie's buttons progressively being more unbuttoned throughout the show.
Please,
Put
seriously,
them
don't
side
tag
by
me.
side.
That'll
Buttoning
be
up
so
my
funny.
love for JoJo.
I will die if somebody finds that and that's actually accurate. Like, he's been unbuttoning more, like the more he's in
It's
love.
just like
Oh, yeah.
so
At the end, he just
bad.
rips his shirt off in
you were
Thailand. He's like, "Marry me, JoJo.
Oh God.
I'll never wear clothes again. I'm a
I'll
swimmer.
only wear this wife
A
beater
former
the rest of my
swimmer.
life.
I'll only wear this wife beater, but I'll never beat my wife." And that's his last tagline. Marry me.
Oh God.
Formerly.
Guys, what do you see? She brings up Ben again while she's to Robbie's
Oh.
face.
One of my favorite tweets tonight was that princess problem
She's
tweets
the
when she was
best.
like, "Stop trying to
to
make
make-
Ben happen. It'll never happen."
so funny.
Because I've said it throughout the season.
Little
Like
Mean Girls
all she
reference.
does is just bring up Ben.
Yeah. She actually
she's
did it, I
relating-
believe,
Go
at
ahead.
least 2 times tonight, maybe 3. She brought up
Yes.
And I know she's trying to relate that to her process and be like, I'm trying to relate to where you're at because that's where I was.
Right.
And contextually, that's
But, like, we
Ben,
get
but
it.
it's like, yeah, we know.
We know
were
why
there.
you're here. We know that
saw
Ben
it.
didn't pick you.
Yeah.
We know
We
that you
watched.
cried. We know.
Let's do more head movements.
Okay.
What do you guys think about the note situation? His dad slipped. He wanted her to keep it. Did you find, like, Chelsea, did you find sentiment in that? Was that...
Yeah, I did.
Cute.
And I'm not even honestly a fan of Robbie in this JoJo Robbie situation, but I
Yeah.
thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
super sentimental. I think personally I'm a huge sucker for notes.
Yeah.
Just like, little things. And so, I mean, I really enjoyed that.
Brooks, what do you think?
I
Did,
thought it was-
did the note open up a little Robbie door in your heart?
I immediately went, producers, good job. Because I feel
Really?
like the producers were like, hey, maybe you want to leave a note. Maybe he gave the note and they're like, even better, we'll put it in his pants. Because I don't know how he got that pair of pants. and
Keep
the
it in his
note.
pants.
Hey, son, like that part was blotted out. Do not read this on camera, JoJo. Like there was a little side note. There's all this other stuff. But I thought it was cute. I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet.
I thought it was nice. I thought it also kind of timely. That's why I say the producer
Yeah.
thing, because
Mm-hmm.
his mother had just had a conversation with Robbie about his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden there was a note that kind of
From the
helped
dad.
supersede any doubts about the fact that he might have had an ex-girlfriend. And
Sure.
I was like, I don't. It was cute, seemed sincere, but
I
This
think I'm
was
just
too
like such a
perfect.
sucker. I want to think that was like real.
Yeah, and it very well could be. I'm with you. I kind of
Yeah.
want to believe so. This was the first, and like I said, I'm a little
Bad.
bit more on the Robbie train. After tonight, I saw this was the beginning of me seeing
You
like
are?
not on the Robbie train. I shouldn't have said that, but I at least I see it now. I acknowledge there's a train with Robbie's name on it in JoJo's going around JoJo's heart and brain.
I'm in the same boat as you. I could not have guessed that Robbie would have made it this far. I was like, Robbie's out.
No, I wouldn't put any money on it. I wouldn't put a
top
dollar.
5. He wouldn't make it to top 5.
Yeah.
Same.
no.
I agree with that. I'm like, I feel like this episode was really just showing on. I was just confused by it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just confused by her.
And a lot of people are saying this. Robbie needs to get over his last girlfriend. Robbie's creepy. Does Robbie shave his whole body? Hannah Call, you're hilarious. Does Robbie shave his whole body? That's
If
funny.
he was a swimmer, yeah.
Probably did at one point, but like I like
He's a
cereal.
formerly shaver.
Yeah.
Formerly shaved his whole body.
Now he just lets it
creepy.
go.
Ellen T says he needs a different hairstyle.
Yeah, I agree.
Amaris says Robbie's creepy. So here's my thing, and I want to talk about this because he does come off a little like it's not creepy for
It's
me.
just like,
That's not the right
he's
word.
like
It's like
latching.
It's like cheesy and it's a little intense.
on?
It's a little put on.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect example. Ipso facto, he said, and I quote, "Now I don't have to dream about her. I get to dream with her."
Yeah.
That's not a producer line. I think that's we all roll our eyes. I didn't like that.
I don't like a lot of things that he says, honestly. And I don't know, like, because here's the thing. If she were to send Robbie home, or if she sent Robbie home the last ceremony, he would not have had the same reaction as Luke did.
Yeah,
Like
no way.
And you would, there would have 100% been tears and like, I love you. But I just don't think there would have been that like solid, genuine peace there.
Right. Well, and we'll get to this in a little bit when we talk about Chase, but the way she reacted to Luke and even James, when James T left the show, was more significant than how she reacted when Chase left. And I agree.
Yeah.
If Robbie would have left, I don't think she would have reacted that way.
Yeah.
Well, can I speak to that real quick?
Yeah.
Because I also think that we've seen Robbie trying to kind of convince himself that he's in love with JoJo.
Yeah,
and
I
Luke
agree.
was already there, but just didn't know how to communicate it. And I thought that was really strange of JoJo to say afterwards.
Sorry,
What is funny?
I'll tell you in a minute. Somebody in the chat roll is hilarious.
No, I just thought it was interesting that JoJo would say afterwards, like, I just didn't know if he was really there yet, if he loved me, and that's the reason.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, what was it? I just didn't know if he really loved me.
Yeah.
Well, he just told you. What else do you need?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think it's definitely something else.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Robbie, I feel like, is pushing down this path of like, yes, I do love her.
Yes,
I really
I
do
love her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And tomorrow
I am
I'm going to
into
love her more because it's a new day with JoJo.
Guys,
Yeah, like.
remember Marcus Summers that just logged in? I talked about?
Yeah.
What is he
Marcus
at?
Summers with the quote of the night on chat roll so far.
Doesn't even follow the show. Remind you. Does not watch.
Anyone else notice Robbie's earlobe is attached to his head? That's all he wrote. people are dying.
Does he mean?
Oh my
this
Like,
gosh.
this
Like,
part is like, there's no, like,
there's no
space.
lobe?
Yeah, Marcus, what do you
It's-
mean? Like the lobe is attached?
Yeah, it's like, is
Because
this,
I think it's
like, there's
50-50.
no
You either have a
space.
lobe
No,
or
like
you don't.
it's not like you can control that.
Well, obviously you're born
You
with
can
it.
get surgery. Duh.
You can get surgery for anything nowadays. Yeah. You can.
For anything.
Yeah, this isn't even my
Yes.
original nose.
It's not?
Sorry, Mom.
Is she still watching?
Did you get a
I know
nose
she
job?
probably tuned out. She's
Gotta hope
after
so.
that last
He's
comment.
so
I'm
annoying.
out.
Let's move on to Jordan.
She went like this.
Anything else with Robbie before we move to Jordan?
Not Team Robbie.
So on Jordan's date, they hike. Chelsea, you had a fantastic tweet, by the way. Would you say something about?
I said, no wonder Jordan didn't make the NFL. He can't even go on a hike.
That was pretty funny. Like they got winded
Well,
a lot.
he's just like, oh, there's these steps.
But-
like, what?
it's.
What are these 12 steps?
Oh my god. Yeah, that is a very savage comment, Taylor. You're right. So I feel like The Bachelor does this. We always see them. They do like cliff jumping, or they do like bungee jumping.
Right.
They do something that takes a lot of adrenaline. It's like a big physical moment. And after that, you always end up having great conversation. You get all these like endorphins out, and they're high, and whatever's happening. So they get into the cave, and I thought their conversation was actually great in the cave. So like once they got past all that and had all this big exchange of energy, this big hike. And
What
then
about the conversation? Did you
Yeah.
like?
I thought the cave was a good conversation for them to have, but here's my caveat with it. I think it should have happened 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
I feel like they're still getting to know parts, even at dinner. And he goes, the last thing on my list is I wanted you to meet my family. And then he corrects himself and he goes, actually, that's not. I need to meet your family. And she goes, yeah, we haven't really
Like-
talked about like what would happen after this. And he was like, yeah, we haven't. How, up until this point, have you not talked about, hey, we love each other. Like, obviously, they've spent a night together, or are about to spend a night together, right? And they know this. How have they not talked about, if he's the last one, where this would go?
Because Jordan doesn't see it with her.
Yeah.
That's why.
You don't think
he
so?
Has not,
No.
He has not visually actually had that experience firsthand. He's not going. That's why he has to recorrect himself, because he thought,
And
oh,
he
that's
just-
the last
yeah.
step, and then he's like, oh wait. Oh yeah, I have to meet her parents. Duh, that's part of the show. He's not thinking it in terms of an actual relationship. That's my opinion.
And that whole conversation at dinner, he didn't even speak like a full sentence.
Yeah.
He was just like, I mean, well, yeah, because I see with you, and
Yeah. It was a little
what?
scattered. And
it was so scattered. And at that point, there should be no like scattered. She shouldn't be questioning, why do you love me?
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good point, by the way, because we didn't hear a lot of what Jordan was saying because they kind of tuned it out. Did you guys notice that? It was kind of like,
it was interesting
to make us tune more into JoJo's look.
Yeah.
And she had that stare that she was looking at him, and I have a couple of thoughts about this. I want to hear your guys' as well because we all kind of tuned into that.
Yeah, we did.
I think we
He
all
kind
had
of went
different
Charlie
thoughts.
Brown on us, like parents, like wow, 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 wow.
And they went
I
to
didn't hear
just so
anything.
Emma just said this on the chat roll, and I think this is exactly what we're talking about. Emma said JoJo's always grilling Jordan. Shouldn't that send red flags? And here's my thought on what she's doing. She's asking because I think that, and we saw a little bit of the teaser at the end where she says, if I choose it with Robbie, this. If I choose it with Jordan, this. Right? I think she's seriously considering a lifestyle with Jordan, but she has more questions about Jordan. It's a little bit more unsure. While it might be the more fun choice, there's some things about it that aren't as sure as Robbie for her. But she wants the answers to him. So while she's asking him questions, she's trying to get this answer. And the way she looks at him, she's staring at him like, please say what I want you to say, what I want to hear you say.
But that's the issue, and it's the same question every single time they sit down.
What do you mean?
Like I don't think that she's asking him like an array of questions. All she said about Jordan is that she's scared, you know? Like I think she said scared or she's fearful. And then she's just asking him like why do you love me? Or it's just like the same repetitive question. It's not a I'm just like so confused by it.
I think it's partly that she so badly wants to be in love with Jordan, but who was in the chat room?
Who said that?
Emma.
But
I
to Emma's
totally
point,
agree with Emma.
I agree with her that she's like, I've seen all these red flags that tell me that this isn't going to work, but I want it so badly. So the emotional
because
side
it's
of
not
that
going to work.
is pushing ahead, and so she's reserved. And that moment when he said, did he say he loved her?
Yeah.
Right? So what did she say immediately back? She goes, well, that's what Ben said as well.
Yeah, she
on
did.
this date.
Oh, yes,
And I was like,
yes,
that's not the response that one should have when you're like, I really want this person to love me. That means that she has a lot of reservations. And it's like, at this point, if she can't see that, then she's emotionally, I think, a little unstable from this process because she can't even see what her, her own reservations are telling her. It's
Well,
like,
and here's
that's
where
an easy choice.
Where I'm at as somebody who's gone through a few relationships where there's red flags, but you want to look past them because you see so much potential and possibility, and the chemistry's there, and you end up looking over these things that bite you in the ass later on. And that's happened to me a few times. And so it's part of me is seeing this being like, I see the chemistry and like I want it to work. But if she's asking those questions, to your point, Emma, like you were saying, Chelsea,
Totally.
you're looking,
and just becomes like a sick, twisted circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you keep asking the person a question and you want so badly a response and they're not giving it to you, but like you stay, that ends up being your fault.
Yeah.
Well, and that sucked to hear her after to say like, man, she says, just look at me or just come over here and kiss me, whatever she said. Then they have this moment, cuts to her interview, and she's like, we had such a great time and my reservations were kind of brought to a resolve with my conversation with Jordan. And I was just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how did
I did hear her say that. And I was like, no, he really didn't resolve any of that. Interesting.
I think that added to my super pissed was that moment. I was like, what?
And what's crazy, come on, girl.
Well, what's crazy to me is he's the one who actually said that he had a reservation. And he said, my only reservation is that I've always wanted to be able to look my future dad-in-law in the eye and know that everything's, you know what I mean? Okay. And he's like...
So why
they're
do you think
both having reservations.
So why do you think that's a reservation for him? Can he not do that at this point?
Yeah, I think that's what he was...
He can, but they won't have the whole backstory of like them dating and his dad being there through all this. His dad's just gonna have to basically say yes to a guy that he doesn't really know.
So it's the narrative that he originally had wrote for himself of how that should play out is not the way that he wanted, and he's like,
maybe that's where his reservations
I think that's
are
a
coming
narrative
from.
that most guys write. I was like, like you get to a place and you ask the girl's husband or the girl's dad. In this situation, it's different because
the dad kind of feels trapped.
Yeah.
To show.
Sure.
Like he has to what is he gonna say? No.
No.
We don't have a ton of time left, but we need to get through Chase here. Yeah. Chase. I have to be honest. The first part of it, I was super bored until Robbie showed up in the middle of their date.
Ugh.
He had you at Robbie.
Did you guys see anything really?
The beginning part of Chase's date with her, I thought was.
I thought they were having fun.
I mean, it was fun, but it was just like I looked over at one point, and this is not to knock on you guys, but you guys are both like tweeting different things and doing like there was nothing that like grabbed our attention, like we couldn't stop watching. Like we were all I was doing the same thing. We were all multitasking, and like we got the vibe of what was happening. It was just like. just here for me.
But I do have to say, or at least during the date, I think now that Luke is gone, Chase like sprung up to the top for me. I was really hoping that I think he's so crazy sweet, and I think again that genuine like vulnerable side of him was coming out, which was cool to see. Bachelor.
Gosh, Bachelor.
And so that's why I was like, all right, now at least she has Chase, and then she just threw that right down the drain too.
Why do you think she let him go? Based off her feeling? Because that's what it sounded like and looked like in the edit that we got.
It almost kind of goes back to what you're saying in the beginning. Like, you know, Chase is the third date. Like, she was so confident that she's in love with Robbie and Jordan. And, like, here comes Chase a little late to the game,
Which I do respect.
If we knew that Chase's date was first, that would be a
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because we did find out what the actual order was, and it was different last year than what we saw on TV.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, then ignore me.
No, because
Okay.
I want to. Here's the thing. In my heart, and I know I said this at the beginning, it was the first time I've ever been upset at JoJo, but in my heart, I want to believe that she has integrity to do that. That she had the first two, and she's like, I'm not going to stay overnight with this guy if I don't see it here. Sure. I don't want to do that. I want to believe that that's JoJo's character.
Okay, but back up. She already gave him the fantasy card, and a light switch when he said, I love you. That's when she was like,
I don't think it was just I love you. I think it was the whole thing. She got in there and she's like, this is a lot more serious and I'm not feeling. And part of it was the response. She wants her heart to jump when he says, I love you. And she even said, I wanted to feel different when you said that. So she took a minute and went straight outside.
Well, in that dinner, when he read the fantasy card, to your point, she wasn't feeling it then. I was like, oh, she's not feeling this.
Really? You noticed it?
Yeah, I was like, how is this going to play out?
But then why do you think she gave it to him? Because she was curious for a second and she wanted to see?
I didn't think she knew what to do. She's like,
I think she did because that's what you're supposed to do. And then she regretted it and tried to make up for it as much as she could.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't go through with this.
Listen, if she would have went overnight with him and let him go before the rose ceremony, I think it hurts him worse. And it's only going to get worse. That's this.
Right, that's what she said.
Get out while you can. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Which I respect.
I totally respect that. I think that
right on,
was a good.
JoJo.
Right on, JoJo.
I think that's like a huge thing for her to do. So huge props for her doing that.
Chase's exit was a little tough for me. I'm not mad at him for it.
No, not at all. I mean, on the
like,
same token of her, like, props to you, JoJo. Huge props to Chase as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a completely fair response.
Well, let's talk about this. So, Brooks, you think he came back during the rose ceremony based on producers?
Yeah.
Being like, yo,
100%.
if you want any chance at Bachelor, like, what do you think that conversation sounded like?
They went like this. They went, hey.
Wait, who's talking? Is this a guy or a girl?
This is a guy.
Where's he from?
California.
Okay.
And he's like, hey man, I was in this wave and I was a pit it. Okay. So I think it was something along the lines of like, hey, the way that you left the show, you know, it really wasn't doing you any favors.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like you didn't really get to say X, Y, and Z when you were with her. This is the last time that you'll get to see her. We think that it would be a good idea for you emotionally in this whole process to go back and actually have a conversation, something that kind of looks like this. And then they start to have that conversation.
Say this.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about these things that you didn't get to address, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And went back and had that conversation. That sets him up to be the next.
But in the rose ceremony, like, the timing was perfect. She says, well, I sent Chase home, and then dun dun dun, there he enters, you know?
Yeah,
so,
imagine how
they're like, go, you know?
Like, just timing it.
Oh, it was
Everyone will be in
perfect.
khakis.
Yeah.
Everyone will be in blue shirts.
Yeah.
And then you appear on the top of the stairwell,
Yeah.
like...
And she'll just be thrown off because we didn't tell her to be
She's
gold.
going to say, what?
And America's going to be like...
And America's going to be so pitted.
And America will be pitted.
But, I mean, on the flip side, I think it was genius because I even, like, after their conversation, I was like, Chase is a sweet little pumpkin. Like, that was so nice of him.
So, Chelsea, sweet little pumpkin.
A sweet little pumpkin.
So, Chelsea, after that moment,
Yeah.
would you rather watch Luke next season or Chase next season?
Luke.
Do you think Chase is even in the conversation?
Yes.
Do you think it's down to Chase and Luke?
Yes.
Do you think there's a third player maybe we haven't thought of, maybe from another season? Because when James was in here, James told us he knows who the next Bachelor is, but he wouldn't tell us who. Obviously, I don't want to know who.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
And well, let's put some things together. I don't know either, but James is really close with Luke, so if he knows who the next Bachelor is, I'd say it's Luke. Based off of that,
I want Luke to find love so bad. I want it just to be like a bomb-ass, sweet, lovable girl. I think he deserves it.
I think Luke would be a better Bachelor than Chase. Not any knock on Chase. I think Chase might have some more fun moments. He seems like he comes out of a shell.
Maybe, but I will say this. I think if the girls on Luke's season would just be outstanding.
Oh my God, they'd be so smoking hot.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Wait, why do you say that for Luke's season? They cast him
because have you looked at him? He's a freaking
They cast
stud.
100 and then pick the 25 based on the guy.
Okay.
They're all going to be tall.
And they're going to be some country girls, like JoJo's, but that can skeet shoot and break in horses. Like, dear God, I can't wait.
Okay.
Like, that could be amazing.
Danny.
Yeah, I'm excited for that season.
Hey, Luke, if you end up being the Bachelor, I know somebody who might want to be there right along with you.
I'll be right here watching and right back here on AfterBuzz. Guys, any other thoughts on tonight? Tomorrow night's the Men Tell All. We're not going to be covering it live, by the way. We'll be back next Monday night covering next Monday night's episode and the Men Tell All.
Can't wait.
I don't have any other comments.
No more comments.
Well, geez, in that case, let's wrap it up. In the meantime, where can people find you guys?
They can find me, and I can officially say this now.
This is big news!
This is big. They can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Brooks Forrester.
You changed it?
Yeah, I used to have Brooks A. Forrester's Instagram.
I didn't notice.
I got my Instagram back.
So your Instagram
really
and your
exciting.
Twitter are both Brooks Forrester?
Both at Brooks Forrester, and my Snapchat is Brooks-Forrester.
Okay.
See you guys on the social webs.
That's really exciting.
Chelsea?
I'm excited for you. You guys can follow me. All my social medias are linked through my blog, themillennialmiss.com.
You guys can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Danny Hoyt, and on Snapchat at Danny Hoyt 47. I will say I'm hosting the biggest event of my life tomorrow night. Biggest thing I've ever hosted in my life. It's happening tomorrow night, and I'm gonna try to Snapchat as much as I can. I don't even know what I'm allowed to do. We have.
Can we say what it is?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say yet.
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
I'll just say it's a giant thing, and it's a career goal I made early on, and it's happening tomorrow night. I could not be more excited.
Follow Danny on Snapchat and see all of
Danny
it.
Hoyt 47. All right, thank you guys. Love you. We'll see you next week.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.